Hey, it's AT time. My name is Ron Freeman, and today on Animation Trainers, we're going to be talking about what you should do as an animator when you find yourself between projects and looking for your next job in order to keep yourself ready for work and valuable in the marketplace. And to make sure that you don't miss any of the other videos that we post here on Animation Trainers, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and switch the notification bell to all. And check out the links in the description below to our website and to our Patreon page, where you can learn animation online for $2 a week. Unless you happen to have a position with a company that has multiple projects that overlap, it is absolutely possible that you, as an artist, may find yourself with some downtime between projects while you look for your next job. So what do you do with that time? Well, one of the things you may want to do at that time is to feel sorry for yourself, to badmouth the industry and the state that it is in, and to generally curse the sky for the rain. However, recent and not so recent studies have shown that those actions apparently have zero effect on actually changing the situation we find ourselves in under those circumstances. And so it becomes necessary for us to think about how to best use that time. My mom was from Sweden, and we lived there when I was a teenager, between the ages of 16 and 19. When I moved back to the United States and my living in Sweden came up in conversation, friends and new acquaintances would ask questions like, "So, did you see much of Europe?" "Nope." "Did you go explore the country since you had plans to leave and therefore your time was by your own choice limited?" "So how did you spend your time in Sweden while you were there?" "Basically hanging out in the apartment, being mad at my mom for making us move there and wishing I was back in the States again." "Wow, you're an idiot." Yeah. Comment quiz. Have you ever lived in a different country for a while? And if not, what country would you be excited to go live in for a bit? I'd love to know in the comments below. Remember, all the cool kids comment. So, if we aren't going to feel sorry for ourselves, what should we be doing? Well, my first suggestion for a way to use your time between jobs productively is to fill out your skill set. And by that I mean that if you don't really have a lot of examples of four-legged creature animation or more action-driven performance like digital double stunt work, that it would be worthwhile to create some of those types of animation and add them to your demo reel so that you can be considered for roles that require that type of performance. The more well-rounded you can be in the kinds of performances that you can demonstrate you're capable of, the more different kinds of jobs you'll be a match for as you are job hunting. In fact, it might make a lot of sense to create a piece of animation that might be very topical at the time because it could pique someone's interest. Besides, even if you don't feel that you have a type or style of animation that you would benefit from working on, it's always beneficial to keep your production levels high by animating on a regular basis. It's not like you're going to forget how to animate if you don't do it regularly, but much like not exercising will make your body go soft, you would be surprised how quickly not animating regularly can have an adverse effect on your speed. A second way to use that downtime along those lines is to learn any software that you are not familiar with, but is utilized within the industry. Not only would learning how to use that software give you more options in creating your artwork, but it also means that you'll be eligible for that many more jobs where that software might be already part of their pipeline. In fact, part of the reason I got the job at Industrial Light and Magic to animate on Van Helsing was because I was already familiar with Softimage XSI, having just used it at my most recent employer, and therefore wouldn't require additional ramp-up time. No kidding. A third option along that same avenue of increasing your skill set would be to learn a new process that is closely related to your current position in the pipeline. For example, as an animator, the two disciplines most closely related to mine in the pipeline are rigging, or technical animation, just prior to characters going to animation, and VFX and simulations on the other side of the pipeline, which are closely related to animation and therefore have an advantage in learning those skills because at least some elements of it will feel very familiar. A fourth option is to focus on a hobby. The fact of the matter is that we very often will put aside the things we want to do in order to address the things we need to do. As much as it may seem like an indulgence, you have in essence been placed on an involuntary vacation. Please don't misunderstand. By no means am I suggesting that you should just sit on your laurels and wait for a knock at the door with a job offer. But what I do suggest is that you have been given time to pursue those things that you would always put on the back burner, and so now might be the time to bring them to the forefront. For example, I had always been interested in hosting a YouTube channel and becoming a content creator. But I had put it off until last April because I wanted to ensure it had a certain level of quality when it launched, and I had not felt that I had the time to give it the attention it deserved while I was working. When I found out I was going to have an indeterminate amount of time on my hands, my first thought was, well, Ron, if you come out at the other end of this downtime and you didn't take advantage of it and get your channel up and running, then you will probably regret it for the rest of your life. So I learned as much as I could about what it takes to become a content creator and got the channel off the ground, and here we are today. And while this may not seem to be a direct correlation to searching for an animation position with a company, it is attractive to a potential employer that a candidate is self-motivated. Creating animated content for the channel also helps keep my production speed up, as we mentioned earlier. A fifth option, if your financial situation requires it because you don't have savings, is to seek alternative sources of employment. As I mentioned in this video that talks about becoming an animator in today's marketplace, animation is basically a performance job, and most performers in the entertainment industry very frequently have to work a day job to pay bills in between acting projects. And so if an animator needs to get a different job temporarily while they wait out a downturn in the industry, which unfortunately can happen every few years because of contract negotiations, etc., then perhaps that still beats having to have an alternative form of employment as your primary source of income on a regular basis. The downturn that is occurring right now is unprecedented and has never been this bad in the 30+ years I've been working as an animator professionally. But in my opinion, animation is still the most steady form of performance work in the industry, and so I'm happy that I chose to pursue it. And finally, my sixth suggestion for what to do during downtime is to enjoy time with your friends and family. People have heard about the letter from the EA widow and stories of long hours and grueling schedules. The fact of the matter is that there are going to be times, if you haven't had them already, where you being busy working overtime and getting something across the finish line will mean that you have less time for your loved ones. And so this time that you have not working is a perfect opportunity to make time for them and enjoy their company while you can. Because you will find another job, and when you do, that time for your friends and family will go away again. So make the most of it. And hey, speaking of learning new things, you can also take some of that downtime to watch the other videos we present here on Animation Trainers and explore your passion and creativity. And so to make sure that you don't miss any of the videos that we post here on Animation Trainers, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and switch that bell. Or better still, if you checked out our Patreon page, learn more about our weekly 1-hour live animation feedback sessions at patreon.com/animation trainers. Or would you prefer to have a private session with me where we can discuss how to improve your animation skills working with me directly one-on-one? Then please visit our website at animationtrainers.com and schedule a session with me. My name is Ron Friedman, and I hope that we will see you for our next video here at Animation Trainers. In the meantime, keep it moving.